It is the 19th of April, 2010. I am Savannah Sneed.
And my name is Shondell Young. Today we will be interviewing Mr. Dwayne Daniels. Mr. Dwayne Daniels, are you ready to start the interview?
Yes, I am.
Where were you born?
I was actually born in a town called Winsboro, Louisiana, which is 50 miles south of Monroe, if you know anything about the state of Louisiana, 50 miles south, and lived with my grandparents, actually, until I was 5 years old, and then my folks moved me up to New Jersey.
Oh.
And I grew up in New Jersey until 1972. I came here to good old Cedar Rapids, Iowa, through Coe College.
So what was it like living in Louisiana?
It was great. As I say, I lived with my grandparents, and up until 5, when you live with your grandparents and they adore you and take care of you and things of that nature, you know nothing about the world except how great it is around you. And it actually wasn't until years later that I saw how different things were, things that they had shielded me from before.
What kind of different things did you see?
Well, when I went back, and not to belay things, but I was born in 1954, so a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't know much about segregation. Well, I hopefully as young as I look, I lived part of that time. I remember going back, and I think I was in about the 2nd grade maybe, and very idealistic about myself even at that point, where I was very happy that I could count and things of that nature. And we went to the corner store. My grandparents, as they called it back then, they lived in the Ville, which was in town, as opposed to on the other side of the creek, so to speak, which was called the slough back then, and it still might be. But we went to the store, and for whatever reason, when we went to check out, there was a 6-cent difference in what we were charged as opposed to what the actual amount was. And me being young and dumb and not knowing that I apparently wasn't supposed to say anything to this Caucasian woman, I said, "You cheated us." and her first, "Whose boy is this?" And I was with my cousin at that time, and she piped up, "Ma'am, he didn't mean anything," and we went ahead and went on back to the house, and my cousin told my grandmother what the scenario was, and my grandmother, of course, it was kind of a double-edged sword for her, because she was proud of the fact that I counted and could do those things, but on the other end of the stick, she had a situation to deal with, and that was to tell me that we were different. So that was a and at the time, the reality of it was that she didn't say anything. She just said, "You watch how you talk to adults." Okay, and she let that go. It wasn't until much later, I think the next summer, or maybe 2 summers after that, that I actually realized what that segregation thing was all about. I went with my cousins. That day we had gone, and some of the male cousins, my older cousins, they let me tag along. They had gone and mowed the lawn for this Caucasian man who lived out in the country, a huge lawn, and it took us fairly well most of the day. Didn't have mowers, back then. They were pushers, and I got to go and help out. I still don't know what I did, but I got paid 25 cents, I think it was. We went to the theater, and there was this long line. It was a very hot day. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Louisiana, but it does not play when it comes to heat. You know, when they tell you that you can fry it, you know, on the concrete, you can. And it was one of those fry egg hot days. And I wanted to get inside because it's hot. We had this long line. And so there was another line over there. Now, the one line, it was 5 cents. But the other line, it was a dime more, but it was hot. So my rationale was, you know what? I just made a quarter. I'd rather go to this other line. And I went to that other line, and I asked this woman, ma'am, can I have a ticket, please? And she says, I can't give you a ticket. Well, why not? You have to get in that line. That's how she responded. It was like, I have my money. I pay you. She said, well, that's 5 cents, and this is 10 cents. And what I didn't realize is the woman was actually trying to help me out here. Okay? She did not want to tell me, boy, you don't belong here. Okay? She was actually trying to be very civil. She finally just looked up that old expression, whose boy is this? and my cousin's, my cousin Charles actually, ma'am, he's with us, and he grabbed me by the, boy, come on back here.
When did you kind of first discover that you were different and kind of look back on all those previous experiences?
That weekend. That lady with the polka dotted dress, that's when I found out that I, quote unquote, was different. All right? And that we were different. Okay? Not less, not more, just different. That's how my grandparents raised me. But on the other end of the stick, it was also the beginning of the lessons that I had to take to heart from my grandfather. Okay? Unfortunately, again, back then, and maybe it's not so unfortunate, but, you know, the reality was, well, his reality that was embedded into me was to be as good, you have to be better. So you always strive, and regardless of what it is, you do your best, plus some. And that's how I was raised.
How has the civil rights kind of affected you?
How has it?
Yeah,
The movement itself, or what?
the movement itself.
Well, the movement, let's face it, without the civil rights movement, you wouldn't be sitting here. You wouldn't be sitting here. None of us would be sitting here in this building. Okay, this building would not have existed without the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement allowed us to, first of all, be proud of ourselves. The civil rights movement allowed us the opportunity to actually want to look and research our history and to expand where we're going. So that's, you know, when you look at that, there's a lot of things wouldn't be as they are without the civil rights movement.